The yearly Spring Timetable Revision on Japanese railways never fails to bring about spectacular changes to train service nationwide. The third Friday and following Saturday in March are pretty much like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in the world of Japanese railways and train spotters. This year, the change took place on the 16th of March 2024, and it brought about significant changes in the Hokuriku region. And in this video, we will be doing a quick rundown of the changes related to the Hokuriku Shinkansen extension to Tsuruga. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing for more Japanese railway content every 2 weeks. And with that, let's begin with our most significant change. The most important change is the Hokuriku Shinkansen, which is extended 125 kilometers and 6 stations to Tsuruga. Construction on this project started in 2012 and cost 1.6 trillion yen or 16.5 billion US to build. A trip from Tsuruga to Tokyo now takes just over 3 hours on the fastest services, which is around 50 minutes faster than the previous Thunderbird service with a transfer at Kanazawa. Nonetheless, the Shinkansen is a driver of economic development and tourism for cities and towns along the line. And cities like Fukui, Komatsu, and Tsuruga have long been excited for their share of high-speed rail service. The next service revision is to the well-known Thunderbird Limited Express. This train went from Osaka out to Toyama and later Kanazawa, but is now shortened a second time to run between Osaka and Tsuruga. The Thunderbird served for decades as the main connector between Osaka and the Hokuriku region, and was known as one of, if not, the fastest conventional limited express train in all of Japan. The train still serves a vital role in serving the connection to Tsuruga by way of the Kosei line. But nowadays, its role in the Hokuriku region is greatly diminished. Thankfully, the final section of the Hokuriku Shinkansen into the Kansai area still has a long way to go until construction starts. The counterpart to the Thunderbird is the Shirasagi, which has also been truncated to Tsuruga. The Shirasagi takes a rather unconventional route, heading from Tsuruga down to Maibara and further east to Nagoya. The Thunderbird and Shirasagi use similar 681-683 series train sets known for their 2 different cab ends. Thankfully for the Shirasagi, there are no provisions to build a Shinkansen from Nagoya to Tsuruga. Now these next 2 changes involve the parallel running Hokuriku Main Line. On recent JR Shinkansen extensions, it is common practice to transfer the ownership of parallel running conventional lines to cities and private companies. And this is exactly what happened for the section of the Hokuriku Main Line from Kanazawa to Tsuruga, which is now under the ownership of 2 third sector operators from the start of the revised timetable. The first of these is that the IR Ishikawa Railway is now extended to Daishoji Station. Daishoji is the westernmost station on the Hokuriku Main Line within Ishikawa Prefecture. This company began operations in 2015 when the Hokuriku Shinkansen was extended to Kanazawa. The IR Ishikawa Railway now covers almost 65 kilometers from Kurikara to its new western terminus at Daishoji. The next of these is a new company called Happy Line Fukui. This company is now in charge of the main line between Tsuruga and Daishoji, but provides through service as far as Kanazawa. Both companies acquired the necessary equipment from JR West prior to the transfer, including trains and snow removal equipment for the harsh Hokuriku winter season. Now with each service revision, there are bound to be some advantages and disadvantages, and now we will just go over a couple of each. The first good thing that comes out of this was the opportunity for high-speed rail in the 3 cities I mentioned earlier. I'm kinda excited for Fukui, as really this is the Japanese version of Drumheller, Alberta, and this is in reference to the 2 places being primarily known for the dinosaur museums. But nonetheless, these cities are in for some growth in economy and in tourism. The second thing is that the Shinkansen itself provides a faster connection to the Hokuriku region, being much faster than the aforementioned Thunderbird and Shirasagi services. These are more about the conveniences of time and speed rather than connectivity. This may seem very generalized, but the benefits are pretty much straightforward, especially for those saving time on their way to Kanazawa. Now, I find the disadvantages to be felt more on the local level and for those using the rail passes. First is that the passes will no longer be valid on the Hokuriku Main Line, and this is going to affect people with rail passes headed out to local destinations. The most important of these are the former Thunderbird stations that did not receive Shinkansen services. So for example, Takefu, Sabai, and Mato will now require a separate fare as these are no longer JR stations. Now the second one is something I've seen talked about on social media, and it's that there was a missed chance to combine the Thunderbird with the Haruka Limited Express. Now various news articles in Japan have said that the main reason is that people would rather head to Kansai first before heading out to Hokuriku. There's also delays on the Osaka Loop line on the Haruka, which JR West also mentioned, but I personally think this should be revisited when the Naniwa-Tsuji line is completed in 2031. And the third disadvantage builds off the limited express discussion, and it's that the transfer at Tsuruga is particularly convoluted. And this has triggered discussion on whether or not JR should have kept the Thunderbird to at least Fukui. But if we look at the JR side of things, it's seen as taking away passengers from the Hokuriku Shinkansen. I think a possible solution to this is to put in a cross-platform transfer that could possibly be repurposed as a Shinkansen platform. I also think a second footbridge between the Thunderbird and the Shinkansen would help, but at the end of the day, the forced transfer at Tsuruga is still in its adjusting phase. These are the main changes to the Hokuriku Main Line. I really wanted to focus on these 5 as these are the most significant. Now I did not want to spend too much time on the Noto Kagiribi or the Dino Star, but I encourage you to have a look at these smaller changes in your own time. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this video. Please like and consider subscribing for more Japanese train videos, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!